Welcome to episode 55, Data Sovereignty and Residency. As organizations expand globally, they encounter complex obligations governing where data lives, how it moves, and who can access it. Laws around the world now define data as a regulated asset tied to national interests and individual rights. Data residency refers to the physical or geographic location where data is stored and processed, while data sovereignty goes further, asserting that data remains subject to the laws of the country where it resides. Understanding these distinctions matters because compliance failures can lead to penalties, disrupted services, or reputational harm. Cloud computing offers unprecedented flexibility, but it also forces leaders to navigate this evolving intersection of technology, law, and accountability. Residency requirements and sovereignty concerns overlap but reflect different priorities. Residency requirements focus on ensuring that specific categories of data, such as health, finance, or government records, are stored within a defined geography. Sovereignty, in contrast, emphasizes control. Even if data resides abroad, it remains under the jurisdiction of a particular government's laws. For example, a European company may need to ensure its customer data remains within the European Union for regulatory compliance while also protecting it from access by external authorities. These dual objectives often drive hybrid or multi-region strategies. The challenge is not only where the data sits, but who has legal power over it. A sound governance plan balances both physical location and jurisdictional oversight. Google Cloud provides multiple regional, dual-region, and multi-region storage options to help organizations meet location-specific obligations. A regional configuration keeps all data and replicas in a single geographic area, such as Tokyo or Frankfurt. Dual-region setups maintain copies in two nearby locations for redundancy, while multi-region configurations distribute data across continents for resilience and performance. Each option carries trade-offs between compliance, availability, and latency. For instance, choosing a European dual region may satisfy data residency while supporting disaster recovery requirements. These configurations allow compliance and business continuity to coexist. Selecting the right pattern depends on regulatory obligations, risk appetite, and the organization's need for operational agility across borders. Data location controls and routing patterns give administrators fine-grained command over where and how data travels. Cloud services often replicate data automatically for performance or reliability, but policies can restrict movement to approved geographies. Google Cloud allows customers to pin workloads to specific regions, ensuring data processing remains confined to chosen boundaries. Network routing can also favor intra-region paths to avoid unnecessary cross-border transfers. For example, a Canadian company can configure storage and compute resources to remain entirely within Canadian data centers. These location controls transform compliance requirements into technical guardrails, helping teams enforce rules through configuration rather than manual oversight. Access boundaries define who can reach data and under what circumstances, extending location control beyond infrastructure to people and processes. Data sovereignty includes ensuring that administrative personnel or support teams in other countries cannot access restricted datasets without authorization. Google's Access Transparency and Access Approval features provide oversight and customer consent for support-related access. Internally, organizations must implement clear approval workflows, background checks, and logging for any data interaction. These processes reinforce that compliance is not only about where data resides, but about maintaining trusted access chains from user to administrator. Personnel and procedural boundaries are as critical to sovereignty as physical or digital barriers. Encryption plays a central role in maintaining jurisdictional control. Encrypting data ensures that even if it crosses borders, it remains unreadable without the appropriate keys. Customers can choose between provider-managed keys, customer-managed keys, or customer-supplied keys to determine who retains ultimate authority. For example, a government agency might use customer-supplied keys stored on its own hardware security modules, ensuring that decryption cannot occur without domestic authorization. Key rotation and access logs reinforce accountability. Encryption separates data ownership from infrastructure location, allowing organizations to meet residency requirements while still benefiting from global cloud efficiency. It effectively decouples compliance from geography by turning control into a cryptographic boundary. Cross-border data transfers remain one of the most scrutinized aspects of sovereignty. When data moves between jurisdictions, organizations must establish safeguards such as standard contractual clauses, binding corporate rules, or equivalent mechanisms recognized by regulators. These legal instruments ensure that transferred data continues to receive protection consistent with its original jurisdiction. For instance, a multinational enterprise moving data from Europe to the United States must verify that both legal and technical safeguards are in place. Encryption, anonymization, and access restrictions further reduce exposure. The key is documenting these controls transparently so that every transfer aligns with applicable law and can withstand regulatory review. Edge cases such as backups, logs, and metadata often escape initial compliance planning, but can still contain sensitive information. Backups may store data replicas in secondary regions for durability, potentially conflicting with residency restrictions. Logs and operational telemetry might include customer identifiers, while metadata about resource usage could reveal patterns subject to privacy laws. Organizations must classify these elements with the same rigor as primary data. Cloud tools allow log storage and backup replication to remain within approved geographies. For example, restricting log syncs to regional storage ensures that monitoring data stays compliant. Addressing these edge cases closes loopholes that could otherwise undermine broader sovereignty efforts. Monitoring for location drift and exceptions ensures that configurations remain aligned with declared policies. Over time, new workloads, automated scaling, or service updates can unintentionally shift data locations. Continuous monitoring tools can validate that resources stay within specified boundaries, alerting teams if drift occurs. For example, a centralized dashboard might flag storage buckets that replicate outside the intended region. Regular audits verify that routing paths and replication rules continue to reflect compliance commitments. Monitoring turns static policy into living assurance, catching small deviations before they evolve into violations or regulatory findings. Regulations evolve, so architectures must be designed for adaptability. What satisfies compliance today may change with new legislation or cross-border agreements. Cloud-based systems allow organizations to shift data regions, update encryption models, or modify retention policies without complete rebuilds. For example, a multinational organization can migrate storage from one jurisdiction to another as privacy laws tighten. Building for flexibility requires modular design and clear data mapping so changes affect minimal components. Preparedness for regulatory evolution transforms compliance from a reactive scramble into a manageable, predictable process. Documenting decisions and legal reviews provides traceability for compliance audits and internal governance. Every choice about data storage, encryption, or transfer should have a rationale supported by legal counsel or risk assessment. These records show regulators that decisions were thoughtful and deliberate, not incidental. For example, documenting why a dual-region configuration was chosen demonstrates that resiliency and compliance were balanced intentionally. Clear documentation simplifies audits, supports consistency across teams, and accelerates responses to regulatory inquiries. It turns compliance from memory-based justification into recorded, evidence-based practice. Periodic reassessment with stakeholders ensures that data sovereignty remains aligned with both law and business needs. Stakeholders include legal, compliance, security, and operational leaders who review changes in regulations, technology, and risk posture. These reviews might occur annually or after significant legal developments. For example, a new trade agreement or privacy regulation could prompt evaluation of data residency policies. Regular engagement maintains awareness and keeps accountability shared across departments. Compliance is a living process, and collaboration ensures it remains integrated into organizational strategy rather than siloed in policy documents. Complying without compromising value is the final objective of any data sovereignty strategy. Regulations should not paralyze innovation or restrict legitimate data-driven insight. By combining regional infrastructure choices, encryption controls, and transparent governance, organizations can protect data while maintaining agility and global reach. Google Cloud's flexibility allows compliance to coexist with performance and scalability. The goal is not to build digital walls, but to implement informed boundaries, structures that respect local laws while empowering business growth. True data sovereignty achieves both protection and productivity, proving that compliance and innovation can thrive together when trust and control are embedded by design. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.